Have you ever opened your eyes in the morning and felt a strange weight pulling you back into the sheets, as if your body knew something your mind hadn't understood yet? Not exhaustion, not laziness, but an invisible gravity urging you to stay still, to not take a single step forward. What if this feeling isn't a flaw, but a message? What if the part of you that refuses to rise is actually the oldest, wisest voice within you? There is a moment in every soul's journey when the outer world grows silent and the inner world begins to whisper. A whisper that says, pause, something beneath the surface is shifting. But in a society obsessed with motion, productivity, and constant becoming, we are taught to fear stillness. We are taught to hide it, to fight it, to blame ourselves for it. Yet Carl Jung believed that when the body withdraws its energy, it is never meaningless. It is the psyche signaling that something sacred is unfolding beneath the surface. Imagine your soul as a deep underground river. Even when the surface looks calm, motionless, currents are moving powerfully in the dark, carrying memories, reorganizing truths, preparing a new version of you. When you feel the urge to lie down all day, something ancient inside you may be aligning, healing, or awakening, not collapsing, but rearranging. And here lies the question that Jung said few dare to ask. What is my soul trying to tell me in this silence? Because this stillness you're feeling may not be emptiness. It may be the doorway to a transformation you have been unknowingly avoiding. In the next moment of this journey, we will step deeper into the very mystery that so many people experience, yet never understand. The hidden pain, the confusion, the silent battle that creates this inner heaviness, and what it reveals about the truth you've been living. You may not talk about it often, but you've felt it, those quiet moments when life looks the same on the outside, yet something within you feels out of place, unsettled, or strangely distant from the world around you. It happens in the most ordinary hours. You wake up, sit on the edge of the bed, and a heaviness sits in your chest that you can't name. You try to brush it off, telling yourself it's just fatigue. But deep down, you know it's not. It's something else, something that feels older than you. Maybe it appears in your dreams. Vivid dreams that feel more like messages than stories. Dreams that leave you waking with a sense of urgency or confusion, or a feeling that someone or something was trying to tell you something. A face you don't recognize, a place you've never visited, a symbol that stays with you long after the morning light touches your skin. You wonder why it felt so real, why it stayed with you, why it felt like a memory instead of a dream. And you don't have an answer, just an intuition. Or perhaps it's in those sudden chills you get without reason, the kind that make your whole body contract for a moment, almost as if the invisible world brushed past you. You feel a shift in the air, a small tremor in your awareness, and you think, what was that? But you dismiss it, because no one ever taught you how to listen to such signs. Sometimes the signals come through the body. A tightness in the throat when you haven't spoken a single word. A pressure behind the eyes, as if tears you never cried are asking to be released. A restless heart beating too fast, even when you're sitting in complete stillness. And when you try to explain it to others, you don't know what to say, because there's no physical reason for it. The body seems to speak a language the mind hasn't learned yet. Then there are the moments of intuition, those flashes when you sense something before it happens. You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and suddenly they call. You feel a wave of sadness out of nowhere, and later you discover something painful happened to someone you love. You walk into a room and immediately know that something is off. Even before a single word is spoken, you can't justify it logically, but the experience is undeniable. As if there is an inner radar inside you, always scanning, always receiving signals from a world that the eyes cannot see. And the strangest part is that these moments often happen when you are at your lowest energy, when you want nothing more than to lie down, to retreat, to withdraw from everything. That is when the signs become louder. That is when your dreams intensify, your intuition sharpens, your emotions reveal what they've been hiding. It is as if the soul waits for the noise of daily life to quiet down before it begins speaking. This is why so many people feel confused and ashamed when they can't push through their tiredness. Because while the world insists that productivity is proof of worth, the soul speaks in a different language, through sensations, symbols, synchronicities, and subtle changes in your inner atmosphere. What looks like fatigue on the surface may actually be the spirit trying to communicate a deeper truth, one you've avoided or feared or simply didn't know how to interpret. People don't talk about this, but you're not the only one who has sensed a kind of invisible conversation happening beneath your daily routine. A message hiding in the silence, a truth trying to emerge. And sometimes, that truth creates discomfort before it brings clarity. So the real question isn't why you feel these strange signals, but what exactly they're preparing you for. There is a reason why Jung insisted that the moments of deepest stillness in a person's life are never accidental. He called them psychic thresholds, silent passages where the soul refuses to participate in a life that no longer reflects its truth. And the first great spiritual sign, hidden inside this heaviness, this desire to lie down all day, is something Jung described with almost sacred seriousness, the withdrawal of psychic energy. Most people think tiredness is simply a physical failure, but Jung believed it is often the soul's way of pulling energy away from what is false, misaligned, or spiritually dead. He wrote that the psyche is wise enough to starve what harms us, long before the mind understands what's happening. This is the first revelation. When you no longer have energy for certain routines, relationships, conversations, or even ambitions that once felt important, it is not always because you're weak. It is because your inner world has stopped feeding what does not nourish your essence. Imagine a river whose current shifts direction. On the surface, the water still flows, but deep underneath, its force is gathering in a new, unseen channel. Your soul does the same. When it senses you are living against your truth, it begins a process that ancient traditions recognized long before modern psychology: energetic withdrawal to protect the spirit. You felt this before, even if you didn't have words for it. Think of a moment when you tried to force yourself into a situation that looked right, but felt deeply wrong. A job everyone admired but drained your life force. A relationship that offered stability but suffocated your spirit. A path that made sense to the mind but felt hollow to the heart. Your body felt heavy, your thoughts grew slow, your desire to move disappeared. You felt done, even if nothing dramatic had happened. This is what ancient mystics called the soul closing its gates. When the gates close, no energy flows toward what is misaligned. The person feels fatigued, unmotivated, and strangely disconnected from the life they built. Jung warned that ignoring these signs leads to depression, but listening to them can lead to transformation. This hidden teaching appears in many spiritual traditions. In monastic Christianity, it was called acedia, the holy fatigue that signals the need for inner realignment. In Taoism, it is the moment when the qi refuses to flow into paths that contradict the Tao, the natural way. In indigenous wisdom, it is the spirit retreating to avoid being damaged by disharmony. Different names, same truth. Your soul withdraws energy to show you the path you are walking is not the one you are meant to continue. Let that sink in for a moment. This is why some people can run marathons of effort for things that matter deeply, yet feel unable to get out of bed for something that no longer resonates. The difference is not discipline, it is alignment. Your soul knows when you're pretending. It knows when you're surviving instead of living. It knows when you're forcing yourself into a version of life that no longer fits the shape of who you are becoming, and the body becomes the messenger. When the soul says no more, the body mirrors it with heaviness. When the soul whispers, "This is not your path," the mind loses motivation. When the soul begins shifting direction, your emotions turn restless, dramatic, or strangely quiet. This is the first secret. Your tiredness is a spiritual compass. It points you toward what is dying inside you and toward what is asking to be born. Jung said that the unconscious does not speak in sentences. It speaks in symbols, sensations, and sudden shifts of energy. Fatigue is one of its clearest messages. And here is the part few people dare to accept. Sometimes the reason you feel no desire to rise is because a deeper part of you refuses to continue living at a depth that is beneath your truth. This is why the stillness feels heavy, almost sacred. Because something inside you is rearranging itself. Something is preparing you for a transition you have not yet understood. Your soul is not punishing you, it is redirecting you. And when you begin to recognize this not as weakness, but as guidance, something shifts. You stop fighting yourself, you stop attacking your own rhythms, you begin to listen. And in this listening, a new clarity begins to form. Before we continue into the deeper layers of this hidden transformation, take a moment, just a moment, to support this space. If this insight resonates with you, like this video, and subscribe to be part of this community, a circle of people awakening to the truths the world teaches us to ignore. Because once you understand the first secret, the second one begins to reveal something even more profound, hiding beneath your fatigue. There is a story I rarely tell, not because it is dramatic, but because it is quiet. So quiet that for a long time I didn't understand how deeply it was shaping me. It happened during a period of my life when everything looked fine from the outside. I had work, responsibilities, routines, goals I was supposed to chase, but every morning something inside me felt heavier, slower, almost ancient. I would wake up and feel a pull, not toward the day, but away from it. Like an invisible hand resting gently on my chest, whispering, "Not yet, something is shifting." At first I fought it, I blamed myself. I thought I was failing at life, at discipline, at being strong enough to push through. But the more I forced myself to move, the heavier I felt. Every step felt like wading through water. Every task felt hollow, as if I were acting in a play I no longer believed in. And every time I finally laid down, the strangest thing would happen. A wave of relief would wash through my body, as if I had returned to the one place where my soul still recognized itself. One afternoon, everything became impossible. I had been pushing through for weeks, ignoring the signals, pretending I didn't hear that inner voice calling me back to myself. I sat at my desk, staring at a document, and suddenly, my mind felt blank, as if someone had quietly switched off the lights. No fear, no panic, just emptiness. A vast, soft emptiness. I slowly closed my laptop, walked to my bed and lay down fully dressed, my shoes still on the floor. The room felt unusually silent, almost sacred. Sunlight filtered weakly through the curtains, drawing soft patterns on the wall. And I remember thinking, if I don't rest right now, something inside me will break. So I let go. And in that stillness, something unexpected happened. Memories surfaced, not loud, dramatic ones, but small, forgotten pieces of myself. The version of me who used to draw without worrying if it was good. The teenager who felt deeply connected to nature. The child who would stare at the sky for hours because clouds felt like messages. These memories rose like bubbles from the bottom of a dark lake, each one carrying a truth I had abandoned. I realized that the life I had been pushing myself to maintain was built on expectations, not authenticity. I had become a character in my own story, and my soul was quietly rebelling. It wasn't depression, it wasn't laziness. It was misalignment. My soul was withdrawing energy from a life I had outgrown. Days passed, And in that silent period of resting, something deeper began to unfold. I started noticing signs, subtle at first. A dream where I was standing on a bridge that led nowhere. A sudden ache behind my ribs every time I did something that didn't feel true. A moment of clarity while washing dishes. You can't keep living like this. And then there was the night that changed everything. I woke up around 3 a.m., not startled, not frightened, just awake. The room was dark except for the faint glow of the streetlight outside. I felt an immense quietness inside me, as if all the mental noise had dissolved. I lay there staring at the ceiling, and suddenly it was as if my own psyche spoke. Not in words, but in a sensation, a knowing that felt older than thought. It said, "Stop forcing what no longer belongs in your life. Your stillness is not weakness, it is preparation. Something new is trying to be born." I remember breathing in slowly, my chest rising with a calm I hadn't felt in years. Tears came, not from sadness, but from relief. For the first time, I wasn't fighting myself. I wasn't running from the signals. I wasn't pretending. I didn't feel the spiritual exhaustion that had been trying to guide me. That night didn't fix everything, but it changed something fundamental in me. I began honoring the heaviness instead of fearing it. I began listening instead of suppressing, and slowly energy started returning, real energy, not forced adrenaline. My ideas felt alive again, my intuition sharpened. I began saying no without guilt, and yes, only when it resonated in my chest. I felt like I was meeting myself again after years of living as someone else. And here's the truth I learned. The soul never withdraws energy without purpose. The body never grows heavy without meaning. Stillness is never empty, it is a doorway. And if you've felt anything like what I described, if you've had dreams that linger, a heaviness that doesn't make sense, moments where your body refuses to participate in a life that looks normal, I want you to know, you are not alone, and you are not broken. Your soul may simply be preparing you for a shift you haven't understood yet. Before we move deeper into what this shift truly means, I want to ask you something. Have you ever experienced a spiritual sign, a dream, an intuition, or a strange heaviness that felt like a message? Tell me in the comments. I read them all, and I may mention your story in a future video, because someone out there needs to hear that they are not alone in this. And now, ask yourself quietly, if my soul is withdrawing, what truth is it trying to reveal? There is a moment in every spiritual awakening when the truth stops whispering and begins to roar. A moment when the soul no longer hints, no longer nudges, no longer hides behind symbols or subtle dreams. Instead, it rises from the depths like a tidal wave, undeniable and overwhelming. This moment, Jung said, is the threshold of transformation. And the deepest sign, the one almost no one recognizes, is this. The soul begins to create inner tension to break the shell of your old identity. Not a gentle signal, not a soft heaviness, but a profound, almost sacred discomfort that shakes the foundations of your inner world. This is the third and most powerful sign. It is not tiredness, it is not withdrawal, it is contraction, the final contraction before the birth of a new self. Ancient mystics, from Christian desert fathers to Tibetan adepts, described this same phenomenon. They knew that before transformation, the inner world enters a state of pressure, of friction, of spiritual labor. The old self and the new self collide. And from this collision, a doorway opens. Jung called this moment the confrontation with the self, not the ego, not the personality, but the divine center inside every human being, the place where destiny, purpose, and truth originate. When this center begins to awaken, your life feels too small for the person you're becoming. Your routines become suffocating. Your silence becomes loud. The distance between who you are and who you were meant to be grows painful, almost unbearable. This is not failure. This is not darkness. This is spiritual labor. Just like a seed must break to let the tree emerge, just like the chrysalis must split for the butterfly to rise, the identity you have outgrown begins to crack. From the outside, it feels like something is falling apart. From the inside, something is being born. This is the most misunderstood experience of the human soul. People think they are collapsing, losing control, or failing at life, when in truth, they are entering the deepest phase of transformation available to a human being. And here is the most astonishing part. Your soul uses the heaviness, the stillness, the fatigue, as pressure to push you out of the shell of your old life. This is why your emotions intensify. This is why your intuition becomes louder. This is why your dreams feel prophetic. This is why your body refuses to cooperate with anything that isn't aligned. Your essence is expanding, and your old identity cannot contain it. In esoteric Christianity, this moment was called the awakening of the inner Christ, the divine spark rising within the human vessel. In Kabbalah, it was the point where neshama, the highest soul, touches the mind. In physics, this moment parallels a phase transition, a system reaching critical pressure until it shifts into a new state of order. Different languages, one truth. You are being reshaped from the inside out, and this is why Jung insisted, the heaviness you feel is not the end of energy, it is the gathering of spiritual force. There are people who will never understand this moment because they have never allowed themselves to stop long enough to feel it. The modern world fears stillness, but all sacred traditions knew that transformation begins exactly there, in the quiet, in the pressure, in the inner trembling before emergence. Before we go deeper, I need to say something important from the heart. If this message resonates with you, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. This content is created with passion, not profit. There is no sponsorship, no agenda, just a desire to help you awaken to the truth inside you. Every subscription strengthens this community, this circle of seekers walking the same hidden path. Now, breathe. Feel the truth of what is happening inside you. Have you noticed that the more you resist the stillness, the heavier it becomes? Have you felt the inner tension, the pressure that makes old habits unbearable? Have you sensed the quiet certainty that something in you is outgrowing everything you've built? This tension is sacred. It is the final stage of spiritual incubation before the emergence of a new identity, not chosen by the ego, but revealed by the soul. And here lies the revelation that completes this chapter. When the soul is ready to transform you, it will not ask for permission. It will stop supporting the life that hides your truth, and it will generate enough inner pressure to break the shell you are afraid to leave. This is why nothing feels the same. This is why your desires are changing. This is why your energy is collapsing. This is why you feel pulled towards silence, as if the silence itself is alive, because you are standing at the threshold. And the final question you must ask yourself is this: if the soul is preparing me, what is it preparing me for? You've walked through the silence. You've seen the signs hidden beneath your exhaustion, your dreams, your inner tension. And if you've come this far, then something inside you already knows the truth. None of this is random. None of this is meaningless. Everything you've felt, every moment of heaviness, every strange intuition, every pull towards stillness, has been part of a deeper, ancient process unfolding inside you. The soul never speaks in straight lines. It speaks in symbols, in pauses, in contractions, in the quiet ache that tells you something must change. You may have blamed yourself for years, believing your fatigue meant weakness, when in truth it was a form of guidance. Your soul has been trying to awaken you by withdrawing its energy from the life that no longer aligns with your essence. Look back at your journey for a moment. Can you see the pattern? the dreams that were too vivid to ignore, the strange heaviness that appeared at the exact moment life felt most mechanical, the sudden clarity in quiet moments, as if someone lifted a veil for just a second, the pressure building inside you, urging you to break out of the shell you once called home. These are not symptoms of collapse, they are invitations. They are the soul's way of lighting a path from within when everything around you feels dark or meaningless. Every moment of tiredness was a message. Slow down. Listen. Something is forming. Every moment of tension whispered, you're growing beyond who you used to be. Every dream, every intuition, every pause was preparing you for a shift you could not see but could feel. This journey is not about learning something new. It is about remembering something old, something eternal, something that has lived inside you since the beginning of your existence. And perhaps now, at this point in your life, this message is finally being heard. Perhaps that is why you found this video. Perhaps the stillness you've been experiencing is not a cage, but a chrysalis, a sacred in-between space where all transformation takes place. The world will always rush. It will always demand motion, noise, performance, achievement. But your soul operates in a different dimension. It moves through seasons, contraction, silence, rebirth. It does not care about the expectations placed upon you. It cares only about your truth. And if the signs you've discovered here resonate with you, then take them seriously. Honor them. Honor yourself. Your soul has been trying to guide you back home through the one language the ego cannot ignore: stillness. But the ending of this video is not the ending of your journey. This is the beginning of the moment you finally start listening. This is where the rebirth begins. And now, I want to invite you into something deeper, into this community of people who are awakening to their inner world, who are learning to hear the voice beneath the noise. This channel does not exist for profit. It exists because sharing these truths matters, because someone out there needs to know they're not alone, because you deserve to have a place where your inner life is understood. If this message touched your heart, if it gave you clarity, if it felt like something inside you finally made sense, please like this video and subscribe, not just to support the work, but to join a community that grows together, learns together, and awakens together. And I want to ask you for something personal. Leave a comment below telling me your name and your city. I will read every single one. And in the next video, I may mention your name and send you a special greeting, because your presence here matters. Your story matters. And I want this to feel like the beginning of a shared path. No one else lives inside your body. No one else feels your soul from the inside. Only you can recognize your signals, your truth, your awakening. But you don't have to walk the path alone. Your soul has been calling you. It called you in the heaviness. It called you in the silence. It called you in the moments you thought you were failing. It called you all the way to this moment right now. And the final message it leaves you with is this: when the soul is ready to transform, it will stop your old life with a whisper and start your new one with a single breath.